Hello everybody, this is Rajeshwari from Soul Tuning. It is day 25 of my 90-day transformation in the raw, and I'm feeling good. I want to take this opportunity to go a little bit deeper into what I was talking about yesterday. I talked a little bit about how thoughts are like seeds, and they will basically plant themselves into your brain, depending on, and your mind, your whole being, depending on your relationship to them. Whether there's how you're reacting to it, what's the vibration you're sending towards the thought? Are you attaching to it? Are you building expectations upon it? And do you believe it? And not that any of that's good or bad, but the different relationship to the thought definitely creates your garden. So you're planting your seeds of thought. In turn, over time, it creates a garden. And it's up to you what kind of garden you want to create, what kind of oasis you want to create. In turn, your reality. Garden being your reality. And the way you see the world and how you live in it and how you carry yourself all starts with your relationship to your thoughts. So the garden ends up being, I've talked before about the patterns in the brain, right? The patterns in the brain, in the mind, the muscle memory, the loops in which you relate to different aspects of your life create these patterns. And sometimes those patterns, if you're not conscious of them, go unseen and turn into mountains. And those mountains, in turn, when you're trying to change yourself, maybe those mountains don't serve you anymore. When I'm talking about blocks, that's what I'm talking about. Are those thoughts, those seeds that maybe you didn't catch right off the bat. You believed it, and in turn, over time, it grew into a large mountain, which ended up being a deep-seated belief system that maybe now you're working with. Maybe you were told something as a child, that you really loved something, and you were told, like for me, not necessarily by my parents, well, maybe a little bit, but I'm just checking with that, yeah. Or by society, friends, other family members in your life. Maybe, like for me, I wanted to be a dancer, so I danced a lot in my youth, and I remember getting the feedback that that wasn't a career choice, that you couldn't make money off of it, pretty much anything in the arts, because that's all I was into, really, arts and sports. So at some point I took on that belief system that it was just a hobby, and at some point I gave up on it. And if that was my purpose, if that's something that I really wanted to do in my life, as I get older and I'm unraveling all these ideas, these seeds, these mountains that don't serve me anymore, then it's going to come up, and I'm going to have to learn how to have a new relationship with it. And it's not enough to see it and just go, okay, yeah, That's what I was told, but I'm just gonna still try to figure out how to do it now, because that seed is still in there. So it's important to learn how to, what is it, like rototill? And yeah, rototill your garden. And I don't like to say weeds, because a lot of weeds are actually medicinal herbs and wonderful plants, but to give you an example, if you know what I'm talking about, weed your garden. But not just by cutting off the top. You got to get down to the seed of it and get it out. And that takes an openness, a willingness to want to change, and just kind of going down the rabbit hole of, it's almost like a slide. You really just have to be gentle and let go and let it take you down the rabbit hole. And if you feel blocked or tight or closed off, breathe and open up, open your heart, and just be willing to go with that process and whatever comes up for you. And slide down that rabbit hole. Face it, see it, observe it, love on it, and then transform it. And once you're able to do that, you've seen it for all it is, and you're transforming it, you're turning it into an opportunity. And that could take a therapist, that could take a good friend or a good partner to go through that process with you, or a yoga and wellness guide, or because you're working with the mind, and you need somebody who understands how to hold space for you and go through that process with you without interfering. So just trying to throw out some ideas and some basics around how this forms, how these patterns and blocks and all of this is created, and then how to recognize it, and then how to weed it out and transform it into an opportunity instead of seeing it as a problem. And again, I talked about it yesterday, it's definitely stepping more and more into the idea of being the observer and not letting your mind run the show, but noticing these thoughts as they creep up right in the beginning. That's where you start. And watching them, like yesterday I talked about that, and I checked that thought, and then asking yourself, well, wait a minute, is this entirely true? Is this the whole truth? Do I really believe this? Not even reacting, but just more of like you're intrigued by it, and you're just you're being insightful around it. So that's a very nutshell version of how to work with the mind, or at least the thoughts, and where to start with that. So the questions always bring the answers, right? So the more you guys connect with me and throw out your ideas and your questions, I'll still be listening to my higher power, but that will help ignite some more information around this subject. Definitely. So definitely leave your comments. Subscribe, and if you subscribe, hit the notifier. That'll keep this ball rolling. And let me know what you think and what your concerns are and what your struggles are. If you want to private message me on Facebook, you can do that, or email me. Yeah, just keeping the ball rolling and uplifting each other. So I hope that came off as understandable today. And I hope you get something out of it. And thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and until next time.